In a small town surrounded by dusty roads and broken dreams, there lived a boy named Ayan. People often said he was too quiet for this world, too soft, too simple. But what they didn't know was that inside his silence lived a storm. Ayan grew up in a small one-room house with his mother. His father had passed away when he was only 7. Since then, life had been a constant test of patience and strength. His mother worked as a tailor, stitching clothes late into the night under a dim yellow bulb. Every stitch carried hope, every thread carried sacrifice. Ayan watched her tired eyes every night. He heard her silent sighs when she thought he was asleep. And at a very young age, he made a promise to himself. One day, I will give her a life where she doesn't have to struggle. But dreams are easy to make. Living them is not. At school, Ayan was not the smartest. He was not the fastest. He was not the most confident. Many students made fun of his old uniform and worn-out shoes. Some laughed at the way he spoke. Others ignored him completely. Every insult felt like a sharp stone thrown at his heart. There were days he wanted to quit. Days he came home, locked himself in the corner of the room, and cried quietly so his mother wouldn't hear him. But every time he looked at her tired hands, quitting stopped being an option. One winter evening something changed. His mother fainted while working. The doctor said she had severe weakness and needed rest, proper food, proper care, proper money. That night, Ayan sat outside the house under the cold sky. He looked up at the stars and whispered, God, I don't want an easy life. I just want the strength to change mine. The next day, he started working at a small tea stall after school. He washed cups, cleaned tables, served customers. His hands burned from hot water, and his feet ached from standing too long, but he never complained. He studied at night when the world was asleep. Sometimes he would fall asleep on his books. Sometimes hunger would distract him. Sometimes doubt would whisper, you can't do this. But he kept going. Years passed. Failure visited him many times. He failed an important exam once. People said, this is your limit. Relatives suggested he should stop studying and find full-time work. For a moment, he almost believed them. But then he remembered his promise. Instead of quitting, he worked harder. He woke up earlier, studied longer, focused deeper. He stopped listening to people who only saw his present and started believing in the future he couldn't yet see. The day results were announced again. Jan stood outside the notice board with trembling hands. He had passed. Not just passed. He had earned a scholarship to a top university. For a second, he couldn't breathe. Tears rolled down his face, but this time they were not tears of pain. They were tears of victory. Years of silent struggle had finally spoken. University life wasn't easy either. He worked part-time jobs, faced rejection, felt lonely, but something inside him had changed. He was no longer afraid of hard days, because he had survived worse. 4 years later, Ayan graduated as an engineer. When he received his first salary, he didn't buy himself anything. He bought his mother a new sewing machine, not because she needed to work anymore, but because he wanted her to see how far they had come. He took her hands, the same tired hands that once stitched clothes to feed him, and said, you don't have to work now. It's my turn. His mother cried not because of the money, not because of the success, but because her little boy, who once cried silently in a corner, had grown into a man who refused to quit. Moral of the story: life does not test the strongest people. It creates strength through tests. Your background does not decide your future. Your persistence does. There will be days when quitting feels easier than continuing. But remember, the pain of struggle is temporary. The pain of regret lasts forever. No matter how slow you move, no matter how many times you fall, if you refuse to quit, you are already winning. Because sometimes, the quietest people fight the loudest battles. And the world only sees their victory, not the tears it took to get there.